We're talking education with Mr. Tyler, with Superintendent of Schools here in Eufaula. What is going on right now in education in Eufaula?
Ron, I'm hoping that good things are going on. And generally, I might hear about some of the bad, might not hear quite enough of the good. And hopefully, as we move forward with these programs, we can bring to the general public, our stakeholders, more of the good that's going on in education that sometimes gets lost amongst just the day-to-day happenings. So right now, I feel good about the start of the year. It's hard to believe we're almost midweek of week 5. Progress reports go out this week from our schools. They go out usually around the midpoint of the 9 weeks. So right now, there's some good things going on, and hopefully we can continue that trend.
Looking at this as a theme for today's program, talking about the different departments or divisions that you have here at the administration in the main building primarily. Let's talk about some of those areas. Let's look at things like we have a person who's Director of Operations and Technology.
Yes, sir. James Bailey. And, of course, I'm going to put my eyes on as I refer to some of the things I have here on our organizational chart, which I've discussed with Mitzi and with Susan, that chart will be up on our website this week. We're updating a few areas, so it will be up this week. Mr. Bailey, with our Director of Operations and Technology, I have about 6 directors and a few supervisors and coordinators. With Mr. Bailey, operations, which is an area that I had when I was an assistant superintendent in Baldwin County, which basically you handle the day-to-day operations of your school facilities through your maintenance departments, your warehousing, and things of that nature. Now in Baldwin County, technology was so big it was separate. Here, Mr. Bailey wears that hat also. But under him are things such as technology, crisis communication, which generally he helps to set up how our administrators communicate if they have a need for enhanced communication, how we communicate with law enforcement, technology naturally. Right now we're working on upgrading our infrastructure at all of our schools. If we're planning on doing a one-to-one initiative, which is the technology-based instruments that we want to put in the hands of students as we move forward, we've got to be able to have the infrastructure technology-wise that can handle this. So he is hopefully going to have all of our schools updated with infrastructure, with our networking during this term. So we feel good about that. He does all our data reporting to the state. Anything that deals with student enrollment numbers and things of that nature, our safety plan, he updates to the State Department. Purchasing and bidding. He handles all purchasing and bidding. Anytime we have something that we put out for bid that needs his services, he handles that. He handles all of our construction, as we talked about last week. There's several areas of construction going on in our system, so he handles that. Our emergency management. He handles our safety plan for our system. He has to upload that to the State Department, and those safety plans can be found. We have to get that to our State Department of Homeland Security. So he's got a big job. He handles our maintenance department, and he handles all of our custodians. We have brought all our custodians up under the central office that work at our various schools, and what that has done is gives us greater flexibility in order to serve our schools a lot better and our system a lot better. He also deals with our child nutrition program. Miss Dina Terciano is our child nutrition supervisor, and she handles all of the day-to-day operations along with Mr. Bailey and reports to him on child nutrition. He also has several assistants in the maintenance department and in the technology department. So Mr. Bailey is has a lot on his plate as one of my directors.
When you look over now at the second column, we find that we have a Director of Human Resources, and a name that's very familiar around here too, as all of these people are. These are active people in the community. Let's talk about what the Human Resources Director of it does.
Right, that's Mr. John Beasley. Like you mentioned, Mr. Beasley has been in the system quite a number of years and is well known, has held a variety of positions as he's moved through the ranks. Mr. Beasley naturally handles all of our uploading of advertisements for positions. He looks at a lot of our contracts. He deals with situations that deal with students' first policies. He's in touch with our board attorney at times on personnel matters. He handles any investigative situations that I need him to handle in our system when it deals with personnel. And he also deals with our Title IX and looks at that. He works with our evaluation system. It's called Educate Alabama and Lead Alabama. Educate Alabama is a system set up by the State Department that evaluates our certificated personnel, teachers. They have to be evaluated every year. Lead Alabama evaluates administrative positions in our system, such as principals, assistant principals, directors, things of that nature. So he makes sure that we're in touch with that and we constantly get professional development. Miss Aretha Butler serves under him. You always see her when you enter the building. She deals with a lot of issues in human resources that assist Mr. Beasley.
When you go over to the next level of these directors and we find that there's a Director of Federal Programs, let's talk about that for a second.
We could probably talk about Director of Federal Programs all day long, anytime you're involving federal dollars, and that's just what it is. Ms. Sheila Scarborough, who has been in our system for quite a while, she is our Director of Federal Programs. And she also handles our accreditation for our system. She makes sure that every so often a organization comes in and they basically evaluate your school system. So that's called advanced ed and she accreditation, and she handles that, does a great job with that. She handles all of the title programs. We are a title school system, meaning that four of our schools receive federal dollars. And that's really a decision made by the local school system. We brought Eufaula High School on board this year. So that means they're eligible for federal dollars. The way you qualify for Title I funding, which is a large part of the federal dollars, is through your free and reduced lunch program. The number of students who are on free or reduced lunch. A lot of your Title I dollars are allocated to a system based on that. She handles Title II. I won't go into what all these titles mean, but in federal programs you have Title II and Title III, which is migrant and immigrant. You have Title IV and Title VI. You have Title X, which is homeless. She handles our at-risk and high hopes and children's first dollars. So she also works with our EL coaches, our English language coaches, and helps to serve our Hispanic population or any other population that comes in that speaks a different language. She has two wonderful people under her that serve in that capacity. And she also works with Mitzi with public relations, and Mitzi assists in several areas of Sheila's programs.
Sure, the chorus, my name is Lucky, and the reason they calls me Lucky is cause I got all of this money, and the reason I got all of this money is because I sells me gold on Dale Road.
Sell your gold on Dale Road. Sell your gold on Dale Road. Mr. Pond buys gold on Dale Road. Mr. Pond buys gold on Dale Road. Sell your gold on Dale Road. Sell your gold on Dale Road. when you look at the organization structure of this, of course, there's the area that you hit into, Director of Instructional Assessment in the kindergarten through the 12th grade. You have a department like that. What does that do?
Well, it really does exactly what it says it does. It's Deltanya Warren, who's our Director of Instruction and Assessment for K-12, assessment being our testing pieces. In other words, how we develop tests that come from the State Department that we're obligated to give to students. So she handles all of the assessment pieces and works with all of our schools as they assess students during the school year. Instruction, she works with all of our schools as far as their curriculum, the latest instructional philosophies. She works with professional development, which she puts out to all of our schools, things that principals need to go to and teachers need to go to in order to stay current with the latest instructional classroom techniques. Well, Deltanya also has the HIPPY program under her. And the HIPPY, that's an acronym for Home Instruction for Parents of Preschool Youngsters. And that has a great service. We have occasional functions for those parents here at the central office to better inform them through little workshops we'll put on. We have, she has people that go out to these homes to help with these parents. She also works with our pre-K as a consultant, working through the State Department to our pre-K with Emily Jackson at the primary school. She works with our guidance and our counselors. She also, handles our new teacher orientation. Under Deltanya are academic coaches, and those academic coaches serve our schools as far as putting data together that our schools provide, assessing the test results and being able to produce that so we can see where we are in instruction and where we need to go. And we just added a secondary curriculum coordinator, Dr. Brent Hanchy, and he is originally from Enterprise but has been living and working up in Chicago, and he applied for the position, and we're excited about what he is already bringing to our system.
When we get through all of these and we come over now to a Director of System Services, explain what that position is.
Right. Well, Jesse is a face, again, that's familiar to most everyone in Eufaula. He's been in our system a long time, served in a number of capacities. He handles our services for our system, for our schools, and for things that are provided to the State Department. Jesse works with accountability, and what accountability is when the tests are given, it's his responsibility to make sure that they're compiled along with Ms. Warren, who's with instruction and assessment, and that those tests are delivered to the proper place based on direction of the State Department. And he also goes and picks up tests for our system. And attendance, he reports attendance to the state, so he watches our attendance in our system. He puts together our code of conduct book every year, has public meetings, and then puts that together and we run it by the board for approval. He works with anything with our parents as far as guardianships. He works with our health services, which includes our 3 nurses. He does recruiting, and I didn't mention on John Beasley. John Beasley and Jesse, we kind of revitalized our recruiting efforts last year. We allocate money to that, to where those gentlemen several times during the school year go to college campuses and set up, either on recruiting days that colleges have set up, and we promote our school system. They have a great number of soon-to-be college graduates come by that are maybe in the area of education that want to know more about our school system. So they do a great job of promoting our system that way. He works with textbooks in our system, and he works with our transportation. We have 12 routes that we run out of Eufaula City Schools, and Jesse works with that, with our mechanic and our bus shop foreman. I said 3 nurses. So he's he stays quite busy.
You're looking at these directors, and I notice that on the chart is a very important element to all of this. They relate to the directors, and they relate to you directly, and that's the principles of our system.
Absolutely. We have 5 principals. We have 4 schools. Miss Frances Cruz is principal over our Hope Academy and our alternative school, which serves a need for our system. And the other 4 schools, you have Emily Jackson at the primary school, you have Revis Gertman at the elementary, you have Penny Kinsey at the middle, and you have Steve Hawkins at the high school. What I've been able to do in the year plus is make sure that I've balanced out my APs at those schools. So right now, all 4 schools have 2 assistant principals. Having served as an assistant principal, I can tell you how valuable and necessary that position is to any principal or to any school system. I kind of call the assistant principals, when I was one, kind of the beat cop. You're out of your office more than you're in. You're constantly walking the halls. You're constantly out during break, change of classes, at lunch, before school, after school, probably out more than you're in. And you have a variety of duties that your principal gives you in order to sustain the school. One assistant principal might be over the buses at the school, might be over textbooks at the school. Another assistant principal might be over professional development that's going on there at the school, working with curriculum at the school. So they have a variety of jobs that keep them quite busy. And, so I wanted to make sure that our principals had what they needed, because their main job is to get in the classrooms and observe our teachers. And we're continuing to stress that principals need to make sure they're in the classrooms, making sure that quality instruction is going on.
Looking now at another position that falls under scrutiny from time to time, especially around budgets and everything like that, the Chief School Financial Officer.
Yes, sir. And Ron, that is one of 2 positions, just for the general public, that is required by a school system. The other one is a superintendent. So by law, a superintendent's a necessity, and a CSFO, which is Chief School Financial Officer. Angie Ellis is our CSFO. She has a tremendous job because she has to balance the books for every school. They all send stuff naturally to her. She has a couple of bookkeepers that assist her. Regardless of the program, whether it's federal dollars, whether it's Office of School Readiness dollars, whatever the identified source of money that might be coming into our school system, she works with the city. She keeps up with the revenue that comes into the city. We're sent from Dr. Pouncey, who is over all CSFOs in the state. We're sent from him an update on how the state monies are doing, taxes, income taxes, sales taxes, revenues of any kind. So Angie has to balance all of these books and is responsible for making sure of what the bottom line is. She has to do 2 public reports every year to anyone that wants to come and listen. So she's already had her 2nd public report. The budget was approved by the board at our last board meeting. So come October 1, we'll start the new fiscal year of 2014. That is when we start the fiscal year for school systems. So she is vital, and she's a necessity. And of course, by law, you can't function as a school system without a CSFO.
All right, we've got one other position here. We both have to deal with her. You one way, me another. She's sitting here in the room. Tell us about Mitzi.
Well, what can you say about Mitzi that probably most people don't already know? Mitzi is another one of those familiar faces. I mentioned last week that not only does she help serve our school system in the capacity of a public relations liaison for our system. She goes to workshops to stay current on media and public relations. She's also works with the chamber, and she's a parent. She has 3 children in our school system. So needless to say, she's got a lot of plate spinning. She also works with Leadership Barber, to where she handles that program every year, which is a wonderful program for those who apply and that are picked to be in that program. So Mitzi, right now, I've kind of asked her this year, and hopefully we're seeing results of that, to help step up our marketing of our schools, to ask our schools to have someone identified that can accumulate school news of any kind, and to get it to Mitzi, then to get it to the Tribune or any other outlet that needs to have it, to do a better job of promoting our school system to our stakeholders, our county, our community.
It was the craziest thing. I was just driving along and this squirrel came out of nowhere. Wow. The good news is, Alpha has the largest customer service team in Alabama. So you'll be dealing with people here, not all over the country. Awesome. Really not a scratch on it. You are lucky.
For a plan built just for you, contact Keith Bryan in Eufaula.
Looking at all these different people that we've named in the system, and I hope we haven't left somebody out. If you look at this, how do people in the general public relate to these positions?
Well, and thank you for saying about leaving out. Before we move on, Ron, if you could, I do want to make mention of our special education coordinator, and that's Dr. Linda Creel, who also is another familiar face in our system. She coordinates all of our special services, 504, gifted education, our homebound students, and our IDEA special education students. She coordinates all that. Federal dollars are received for special education, and we are bound to provide services, which, we do without hesitation. So she has a tremendous job of interpreting what needs to happen and also interpreting special ed law. So she serves directly under me, and she makes sure that she handles all of our special needs teachers, and provides workshops and things to keep them current. And one other that I do want to mention that probably everybody knows is Susan Webb. Susan is my administrative assistant, or in some places they're called executive assistants. I guess you could say she's one of my bosses. So basically, Susan keeps me straight. She watches my back as far as making sure that my calendar is up to date, that I'm where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be, that if there's something that needs to be corrected ahead of time, she looks at it and we correct it. She keeps me current with things that have gone on in the system. She has been here a long time, went to school here, so she knows the history. I am the third superintendent that she has served under. So she can keep me up to speed on what the system has done in the past, what we're currently doing, and maybe what we can do different. So Susan Webb, it all really, in a sense, starts and stops with her.
I know that in dealing with the system, I have to deal with her a lot, and she's very pleasant. Again, putting all this in a package, they call the central office number. Do they always need to talk to you, or can one of these people help them?
And thank you for that. When they call the central office number, 687-1100, you're going to get either Aretha Butler, or you're going to get whoever might be sitting in that chair while she might be at lunch, or you're going to get Susan. So you can ask for a particular person or a particular department. And like we mentioned on last show, I would like for parents or anyone in the community that has a need to know something, if they'll call that number and either identify a person or identify a department, sometimes you're going to get an answer a lot quicker. If you're just asking for the superintendent, generally you're going to get Susan. Susan's going to ask several questions, and if I am available to take the call, I'll take it. But she's going to always ask, have certain things been attempted by the person calling before getting to me? Because if I happen to get someone that maybe didn't follow a particular process, I'm going to basically ask them if they would please turn around and follow that process, because I'm not going to give an answer ahead of knowing all the facts or having communicated with the people I need to communicate with. So a lot of times there is no need to talk to me. I mean, I'm here. If they want to talk to me and just call me and let me know that they like what's going on out there, or they have a particular concern, then Susan can take the information and I can get back with them. But the main thing I want to mention about the central office, I think in any school system that you go to, I don't care if you're up in Montana or if you're here in Eufaula, Alabama, there's a perception sometimes that central office is bloated. And I can honestly say from last year to this year, we've made a concerted effort to look at our central office. We have not overinflated our central office. If anything, I have downsized our central office. And we have added a secondary curriculum coordinator, which was needed for our middle school and high school as far as helping to bolster what teachers needed in the curriculum and assessment area. So other areas we've eliminated at the central office alone. Since I came on board last year, we've eliminated a central office bookkeeper. We've eliminated one of our academic coaches. We had 3. We've got 2 now. We've eliminated a custodian. The central office will continue to look at possibly downsizing, mainly through attrition, because a lot of times when we downsize and don't replace a position, someone else has to take on what we're not replacing, so we're adding duties as we go. And I hope, as maybe the public has seen, as I've read off some of the things that are going on with our directors and supervisors and coordinators, that they have a lot to do in order to keep our school system current and moving forward. We don't want to lag behind. You know, it's hard to do what we do with everything that you feel like you have or need, but we don't need to run a school system with stone knives and bearskins. I don't think any parent or any business leader out there would want Eufaula City Schools to be operating on a wing and a prayer. Sometimes dollars have to be spent in order to become the type system that you want to become. We just can't keep saying, oh, we're a good system, we want to be a great system. Well, we can wish that all day long, but the reality of it is, in this business, a lot of times it takes dollars. So we're going to do our best to make sure that we're protecting the tax dollars that come to us from our stakeholders in our city and our county and the state, and protect that and make sure that we're getting the best bang for the buck. But I can tell you, we have eliminated positions at the central office, and we have in turn put things back out into the schools. We have put resources in the schools instead of putting them here in the central office. So I'm proud of that, and hopefully we can continue that trend.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you through this process, and with the encouragement for the people to be able to contact the central office. But we remind them to always take those steps. If you don't know the steps, call the number, they'll give them to you.
And I appreciate it, Ron. And sometimes that step might be missed, and I get a parent, but I'm always going to talk to the parent. And I'm going to guide them and give them the best advice at that time I can. And so we're never really going to turn anybody away. Sometimes I do encourage them to schedule an appointment because of my schedule. But it's been a pleasure. And I want to thank Channel 99 and you for providing this service to Eufaula City Schools.
We'd like to remind everybody, we're talking education.
Change the way you think about tires with a tire that outperforms the rest. Stop shorter, lasts longer, save fuel. Get it with a Michelin tire from Herndon Tire Company. Outperforming for your business since 1964. Herndon Tire Company offers you the best tires, Michelin, and the best service. Alignments, brake repairs, struts, oil changes, custom exhaust, and nitrogen for your tires. For a safe, smooth ride, see them today. Herndon Tire Company, 810 South Eufaula Avenue, Eufaula.